Okay, Dipanshu, thanks for informing. No audio at all, and that's why that's important because uh, talking in the chat is very important because I get to know from viewers that hey, I'm not speaking. So all that I had speaking before I went on the mute, before I turned on the audio, is that I was just saying that it's May 1st, and we are glad that we have come so far in this world, in this time. And well, March seemed awfully long. April just whisked away like anything. I hope May is better in terms of everyone's health and in our fight against COVID, right? I hope some breakthrough happens there. But anyways, thanks everyone for joining in. My name is Karthik, and I am building an Alexa skill for games, right? And I'll talk about that idea in a while. But yes, I'll be using AWS Lambda and DynamoDB, and yeah, that's what we are going to be doing in this skill. Yes, Dipanshu, the lockdown has been extended till 17th. In our office, and that is for Amazon, we've been told to work from home like uh, till whenever we feel comfortable. So I don't think I'm going to get out of the house for a while now, and I don't think the lockdown is going to end on 17th. It is going to extend, is what I feel, and it's. How are you doing, Dipanshu? I hope you're doing safe, and you're staying safe as well. And let's open up the terminal. Um, Personal touch, the ultimate dialog quiz, and let's open it up. Hey, Oxygen Box, welcome to the stream. I hope you are doing well. Uh, I was just talking to Dipanshu about how he's doing. Doing fine. Glad to hear that, Dipanshu. Glad to know that you're safe. You're doing well. Uh, these are just tough times, people. These are just tough times. But I'm pretty sure we'll overcome all of this. All right. So today on the stream, I'm going to do something different. Okay. So and like I said, the idea for all these programming streams that I'm doing, this is very random. So I don't come on these streams having something prepped up. All of this is totally random and impromptu. So you will see me making some mistakes which I might have to roll back. And I think that's fine because we are not deploying something to the production or live, right, as of right now. And that's what programming is all about, right? You do something, you figure out that that's not working out, so maybe you go out and try something different, right? You build something, and then it strikes you that, hey, maybe this could be done in a better way. So you come back and improve it. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this stream, and that's one of those things that I'm going to do that. So one thing that we did in this game that we have been so far building. So it's a game that tests you on your dialogue. It will play an audio clip and ask you if you can identify the dialogue. But the USP of this skill is that it will pitch you against another person in the database, right? Another person who has played the game via the Alexa skill itself, right? Now, for this feature particularly, I will require the database because I'm using the database to save the users in different rows, right? In a DynamoDB database, I'm just saving them in different rows, right? And what I did so far was earlier I had this persistence adapter, right? And this persistence adapter, I passed on the table name, and this was working fine, right? I mean, there was no issue with this. But the problem with persistence adapter, or something that I think it's in, so far as of what I know about the persistence adapter, is that it only returns the data for that specific user, right? So if I come back to my AWS console here, let's go into DynamoDB, and I'll explain to you what that means in a minute. Tables. So look at this database, right? So I have the items here. So this is this user that I currently have. Tomorrow, if 10 people use this, they are going to have 10 different rows. This table is going to have 10 different rows. But what's going to happen with the persistence adapter is that it's only going to return the user who is accessing their skill, only their row. So what's going to happen is it's going to just send me this data all the time, right? Now remember, last time we talked about doing something like fetch opponent, and basically what this fetch opponent used to do was it would fetch an opponent. So that would mean it would, if there were 10 users, it would fetch any other user except the user who was logged in, right? Now that feature is not something I can do using persistence adapter, or that's what I think, and I think my knowledge of that is correct here. So persistence adapter cannot help me with that, and I need to have my own AWS SDK that will kind of call the database, and once it calls the database, and it will fetch all the users who are not the current user, right? So that's something that I'm going to be building today. I hope that's clear. At any point, if you feel that I'm just not being clear enough, feel free to jump in and ask your questions. But yes, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to be using the persistence adapter anymore. I'm going to be using database. So let's see how to go about doing that. And now this is something I did at my previous job as well. So I'm going to use the stuff that I created some time back. There is a DynamoDB skill template on skilltemplates.com, and you can actually go to github.com/dabbellab and you can use the DynamoDB skill template. Now what I do here is let's go to Lambda custom index.js, right? I'm going to use the standard adapter here. I'm going to change this to the standard, right? And once I'm done with standard, there are two of these methods which are called as table name and auto create table. Let's use that with table name and auto create table. With persistence adapter, I don't need that anymore, so I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to remove this as well, because this function is no more useful for me, right? Now out here, table name, let's pick this up and let's put this table name in here in the table name value, right? This is perfectly fine. And once we are done with that, with auto create table true, so this is when we use the standard builder, right? The standard builder method, and I don't think we need to use this persistence adapter. We don't need that anymore, right? So the table name is quiz, and I know for sure out here right? I hope I covered everything that I wanted to cover here. By the way, what Friday plans do you folks have? What are you guys doing on Friday? And what do you have plans for the weekend? This is a long weekend, especially here in India. Not sure if that's the same for you, Oxygen Box. But today is May 1, which is Labor Day in India. So today is a holiday, tomorrow is a holiday, and day after is a holiday. But well, you can't do much about it because you have to stay at home, right? So, well, that's fine. I'm going to be just relaxing this weekend because I just had like a very quarantine and chill. Yeah, that's I think that's the only thing to do here. I've been just so tired just doing all the household chores. And by the way, I wanted to show you guys something which I thought was cool. So there's this app called a Streamlabs app, and I've been using Streamlabs for a while to stream. And Streamlabs has this really cool app which kind of lets me control the entire stream uh, through my mobile phone, right? So I don't need to worry about changing modes or changing the studio mode or ending the stream or starting the stream from the app. Um, and this is particularly helpful for me because yeah, it's like a remote auction box, pretty cool. And I think what it does is it has like so let me just try it out. I'll just show you a new image that I added. So I have a new image. Not sure if you are able to hear me when I am showing you the see you soon page, but yes, I can change that. So I just changed the entire modes, entire scenes right from my phone. So there's this really good app called as Streamlabs Remote. I think that's what it's called. It's called Streamlabs the Remote Deck. It's called Streamlabs Deck, and it just lets me access all the streams with my phone, right? So I don't need a stream deck kind of thing. My phone just works perfectly fine for that. So yeah. Hey Rajat, welcome to the stream. Yeah, Streamlabs deck is what I'm using. It's pretty cool. Uh, right. So anyways, coming back to the stream, let's come back here, right? So now we are in here. So we've removed the persistence adapter. We have the table name. The table name is the dialog quiz, and we removed the persistence adapter. So now at this point, you're just using the table name and auto create table as true. Okay, so no more using a persistence adapter, and we'll see what happens with that. Now what I need to do here is, let's just open this up, close this. And generally the way to handle this is just create a new folder in here and call this as the helpers folder, right? So I'll just create a new helpers folder, and inside the helpers folder, let's create a new file. Maybe I'll call this as database.js, right? So I'm just creating a new helpers file, and I'm just putting all my database inside code into that. And this is something that I built in the past. You can just check it out. You can go to Devil Lab as well. Now let's open up the raw version of this and go through this by line by line. Okay, so the very first thing to do here in database.js is to require the AWS SDK. So like I said, the persistence adapter only gets inputs or only gets data for that current user. I want data from the other users as well. So that's why I'm using the DynamoDB table, right? I'm using DynamoDB database, and I want to use the AWS SDK to just query my results and get all the other results that I want from the table. So now what I'm going to do here is I'll just say AWS is equal to require AWS SDK, and aws.config.update is region US East 1, right? And then Let's remove the table name. I don't think we need the table name for now. I think what I need to do here is let's first install the AWS SDK, right? So let's go inside the Lambda function, and inside the Lambda function, let me do npm install AWS SDK. Oxygen box says no holiday here and not big plans beyond cleaning my house. Same here, Oxygen box, nothing much to do, just going to just relax and take some time off, pretty much that. Well, yes, I think the AWS SDK has installed. Let's check our package.json. Did it get installed? Yes, it did. Let's come back here, and now let's make a function, right, to save the current user, because as of right now, I think if you go to the code, we had this code here where we were saving the user's last access time. So I think we want to kind of save that, right? Update users last access time, right? So that's something that we are going to be doing. So we'll get to that in a while. So now coming back here, let's create a DB helper function. Right now, all of this is something that is available in the DynamoDB AWS examples as well. Just search for that, and you'll find some of these AWS Dynamo. So it's almost a copy from there, so don't need to worry about it. So you can see how to write a single item in DynamoDB, and it's pretty much the same code that I have written here, right? It's the same code. Okay, only thing is I'm making a function out of it, so I can use it again and again inside my skill, right? So for that, anyways, now once we are here, this is the DB helper. So now what I'm going to do here is let's do DB helper dot prototype dot add user. Okay, so that's what I'm going to call this method as. I'm going to call this method as add user, right? And I'm going to say as of right now, I need user and access time, because that's what we are going to save. Okay, user and the access time, that's what we are going to do. And then return new promise. That didn't work out. Promise, then nope, return new promise. And why is this not getting auto-filled? Oh, well, resolve and reject, right? Did I get that correct? Yep, I did, right? So this is what I'm doing. I just created a database.js file. AWS is equal to require AWS SDK, aws.config.update, and then just used DB helper function, and the DB helper, I created a method called as add user, right, which gets passed. It takes two parameters, user and access time. Now once I found the user and access time, I'm returning a new promise, and this is where I'm going to write the actual query. To save to the database, to save the user to the database. Right, so that's what we are going to do. Let's come in here, right? And I think if you look at this as well, this is the kind of a system that you need to set up. Okay, so this is how it needs to look like. So you have a parameters thing, and you have the table name. Now this table name, you know what, is something that we'll pass in from here, but it could be a global value. So we'll look into how to make that a global value later on. But what we are going to do here is, let's just hard code it for the time being, right? The table quiz. No, what was that? The dialog quiz. By the way, is my I've been seeing a bit of an issue with my stream today. Are you folks able to see my stream properly? I actually started the stream on the Wi-Fi and I did not switch to the different network. So if you can just let me know if you are able to see the stream properly. Okay, Rajat says yes, so I think that's working then. Right, so I created a parameters value here. Okay, thanks for that, Rajat. So I've created a parameters value here. The table name is the dialog quiz, and what I'm going to do here is I'll call this as the ID, right? I can call this as the ID, and the ID is going to be the user, right? So whatever I get passed through user is what I'm going to do, right? And attributes is where I'm going to store, or rather, how about this? Access time is where I'm going to store the access time, right? Now here n is number, I guess, and s is string, but yes, I believe so. Yes, I think n is number and s is a string, right? So now how do we so this is a key name and this is the value, right? N is number for sure. Did I catch it correctly somewhere? Yeah, and attribute type is n, and I think it should be written somewhere here. I think you can only add numbers or string in here in the DynamoDB database. Okay, anyway, so I think we are adding two items. One is ID, where we pass the user ID, which is not going to be a number, to be honest. It's going to be a string at the end of the day. And then there's going to be access time, right? So this is going to be access time for that user. And now once I've defined the parameters, I'll need to call the actual API. So that would be something like doc client. So let me just copy what I've written in previous here. Just going to reuse that. Right, so glad to know that stream looks fine, Oxygen box. But yes, so the doc client dot put parameters. So this is actually putting the database, putting the JSON file inside the DynamoDB table, right? And what we are going to do here is look at this. So you define the doc client, new aws.dynamodb.document client, and we are then putting the document by using this doc client.put method, and we are passing this parameter that we just created. Now once I've defined the add user function, let's export the DB helper, right? Model.exports is equal to new DB helper, right? So you have a new AWS SDK, config update, DB helper, new AWS DynamoDB client. What is the parameter and where do you want to put it, right? As simple as that. Now once that is done, let's come back in here, and here let us require the file, right? Require the helper file. So constant db helper is equal to require helpers slash database.js, right? So this is my db helper, and I don't even need to put in database.js, to be honest, but that works for me. And if you look at this, we earlier used to use persistent attributes. I'm not sure if persistent attributes works in a situation like this, so I'm just going to comment this out. And that's interesting. In fact, you know what? Let's just try something. Now we already have a database, a table with the user all deployed. Let's see what happens if we use the persistence handler input when you are using a custom standard skill builder. I don't think that makes sense to try out, but well, why not, right? I don't see anything useful coming out of that, but I just want to try out what happens. Let's see. As deployed st lambda. This is, folks, just give me a minute. The stream is going to disconnect for a short, quick 1 minute because I'm just noticing a bit of lag with my computer. Just give me a minute. The stream will go offline, but I'm just going to join. I just had to shut down and switch my internet because my network was just getting very patchy. And I hope you are able to see me because I can't see myself live. But hey, if you are in the stream, feel free to say hi. So, okay, yeah, I'm back. Thanks for that oxygen box. So I know this is not going to work properly. I know there's going to be something that is going to break. But I just want to see what happens when you kind of try to use a persistence adapter when you are not using a persistent adapter. How does the developer console, what kind of error does it get? And that's pretty much a large chunk of my work is to just understand how the entire SDK works. So let's just figure that out. And let's just open up the log as well. So now let's open the dialog quiz. What's going to happen? We just removed all persistent attributes. What's going to happen now? Well, if you couldn't hear that, there was a problem with the requested skills response. So that means we're doing something wrong for sure. And we knew that this is going to happen. Let's see what's happening behind the scenes. What's the error that we are getting? Well, the time is 21:34. Let's open that up. And wow, Alexa skill builders.standard is not a function. What are you saying? Why is that the issue? That was not supposed to be the issue at all. Dot standard is not supposed to be an issue at all. Oh, you know what? Yes. So there's this problem. I've been using constant Alexa is equal to require ask SDK core, so I think I just need to remove it to ask SDK. I'm going to do an ask SDK cd lambda cd custom. Yes, that's correct, Oxygen Box. I need to use the ask SDK instead of core, so I think that's where I missed it. And I'm going to do an npm install ask SDK. So good catch, Oxygen Box. Let's come back here. Rajat asks, when are we going to get the invocation button in test tab? I'm not sure. Are you talking about these buttons, Rajat? Well, if you're talking about these buttons, this is not a secret feature. This is something for which I use an extension called as the Alexa Skills Kit Simulator Enhancer. So let me just open that up so that I can share that link with you. And I'm just not sure. Search. Yeah, there we go. So this is a Chrome extension, and you just need to install this Chrome extension, Rajat, and you'll get this. Right? I hope you got that link. Really cool stuff to you have when you are developing. It just has like a lot of these features like repeat an intent or add it to the database, stuff like that. Add it to this database here. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's come back. Let's now deploy to Lambda. I agree, Oxygen Box, pretty much a very good time-saving tool. And what I like about it is that even if I change the locales and I have like a Hindi locale and I added items to it and then I changed it to English locale, it just saves it via locales as well. And now this is very useful because I don't speak certain locales, and if I'm testing a skill in, say, Spanish, I could just have someone say it, add it, and then just reuse it again and again. Anyways, now we are back here. Let's reload, open the dialog quiz.
Welcome back to the ultimate dialogue quiz. And here's the game.
So there's something interesting about that, right? I didn't use the persistent adapter at all. I just used await persistent attributes and it still picks it up. Right? What happens if I delete it? Does it save the user still? Right? Because if it does, then I don't think I need to have this add user method at all, right? So let's see what happens if I delete the DynamoDB instance. And in fact, let's do one step ahead and let's just delete the entire table, right? To just see if delete, right? Let's see if this code works as well, which is basically this one, right? Let's see if that works. I'm sorry. Exit. Let's Let's open the dialog quiz.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked.
So
Please try again.
So that seems to be failing. Let's see what's the error. Okay, it just says ask sdk.dynamodb persistent selector error. So I think because we did not define it, I think that's where this error is happening. So now let's actually do something here. Let's just comment out these two lines, right? But hey, did the table get created or did we even fail there? Okay, it looks like we failed even there as well, like the table did not get created. So yeah, that's weird. So let's see what we can do now, right? So out here, all I need to do is I could just take this as a, I say return db helper dot add user, and I'm bad with JavaScript syntaxes, so I'm just going to refer to this add user, user ID, and what else, the access type, right, which is going to be date dot, right. In fact, database.js, this s is not going to be an access time, it's going to be a number. So id is going to be string, access time is going to be a number. So that's what date dot now matters. And let's just pass a simple user id for now. We'll capture a user id later on, right? Something like 1 2 3 4 5, something like that. Okay, now once I do that is when I say on the success part is then data, right. I'm going to say console.log successfully saved. Okay, why am I getting in here? Yeah, and that's because I missed an arrow here. So I'm really bad with JavaScript syntaxes, folks. And console.log data, right? Probably makes sense to have all of this inside in here because that's where we want it to be. And then not then, but rather when catch happens. So basically if there's an error, catch error, right? Catch error sounds good. Console.log error, console.log log the error, and yeah, let's keep it like that. I just want to see what happens, whether this works properly or not. Did I miss something in here? I've called the database. I'm calling the file name. And database.js also has file name. So this looks good to me. Let's see what happens there. Crazy Bone is also in here. Hey Crazy Bone, welcome to the stream. I was just asking everyone what are their plans for the weekend. So what are your plans for the weekend, Crazy Bone? Let us know in the chat. Okay, so let's deploy this, exit this, let's open the dialog quiz again.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked. Please try again.
Excuse me, folks. I just did a lot of cleaning, so all the dust is kind of getting to me, and I'm having a sneeze attack. But anyways, so we are having an ask SDK.DynamoDB persistence adapter error. So did we miss something here? And I think it was you, Rajat, who mentioned on Twitter about how to use an interceptor. Um, I did have that plan, but maybe that is something I'll cover on the next stream, possibly. So I can give you some resources to look through before I discuss that in detail. But yes, I will be discussing that in the next stream for sure, Rajat. I think you tweeted out to me about something that you want to learn. But always appreciate these tips, folks. If you want to learn something specific, we can always jump into that topic. Like Rajat wanted to learn um, about interceptors, and we'll be picking that up in one of the streams because we will be building an interceptor before. But if I want to kind of talk about that quickly, Rajat, interceptors are basically the methods that jump in before it goes to the main methods. So look at this, like we've created these main request handlers, right? And what we want to do is before a request comes into here, we want to kind of do some maybe some calculations or some logging or stuff like that, right? So before you go to this method, we have a request interceptor method where you can write whatever methods you want. You can make a logging interceptor and you can just log the request that you're getting to the to your skill, right? So what you can do here is kind of define that interceptor method here. So for example, I've created a localization request interceptor, and what this localization request interceptor does is once the request comes to the skill, it goes through this request interceptor is the first method that is going to go through that entire JSON. It's going to go through that JSON and it's going to do whatever process it has to do. Now here is where you can write a logic for finding out the locale, right? And saving it into, or maybe writing something to the log, or saving something to the database. All of those things you can do it here. Now what happens is after that it will go to whatever method it was intended to go in, right? So that way it's like a method that gets hit every time. It gets hit every time you get a request. I hope that makes sense, Rajat. If not, just let me know. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do with request intercept. So every time the request comes, this method is where it will go in first, and you can do a lot of things, like you can save something to the database, you can log something, and like Oxygen Box mentioned that he usually updates his DB in an interceptor. You can do that. And now the best part about that is because if you do it here, you don't have to do it inside your main code, right? So this is where you can log or do all those housekeeping items. Startup Sanatana is here. Sound is echoing a bit, is what he's saying. Is anyone else facing that same issue with the sound? I'm not sure if I got the mode correct in here, but I hope it's better now. But if it is not, just let me know, folks. I'll probably get that working. Crazy Bone, you're working for another 6 hours, then looking forward to a relaxing weekend. Same here. Well, not really. I'm not going to be working for another 6 hours. Today was the holidays. I was just relaxing. So, coming back to the point, I hope that explained it, and we will deep dive into it. And I know maybe I did not do a great job at explaining it, but once we get deep dive into it, we'll understand that. For now, let's come back and see why we are having this issue. And I like getting errors when I'm coding so that I can understand all these things and explain to people why they should avoid these. So that's I think sound is rebounding from the walls. I don't think I can do much about that though. This is the best I could find startup Sanzara. Okay. Um, so we are having an Ask SDK DynamoDB persistence adapter error. Let's look at why we might be getting that error. We have a standard method. Sounds good. Um, it says Ask SDK DynamoDB persistence adapter error. So let's just Google, or rather search, because I don't use Google anymore, for the error. Ask SDK to table, the parameter cannot be converted. Well, I don't think we are getting an error like that, right? So we are hitting our error handler. Where are we hitting our error? Are we hitting the error handler? I'd like to think so, because that's where we have the error handle. Yeah, so that looks good. Um, so that means, and let's see, even if we are reaching in here, hello. What might I be doing wrong? And I have no idea about this, folks. Sometimes I do this hundreds of times in my job, and I still forget this stuff. So I think, it's, and what I have is a work machine that has all of these code snippets, and I don't have that same work machine for this coding stream, so it becomes difficult for me, and I think I need to get eventually around so that we don't waste a lot of time in here. But I hope us debugging this is also, you're finding this helpful, because we get to learn a lot of cool stuff when we start to debug these things. So I think I've gotten everything correct in here. ID, access time. I just want to see if this is what is causing the issue. Did we deploy the code? No. Let's see. Exit the skill. What about the Alexa cookbook though? Does a cookbook have an AWS code snippets? It doesn't look like that. Feature demos. I have not Crazy Bone. What's the grepper Chrome extension? Grepper Chrome extension. Okay. Oh, okay. This looks interesting. Right. Easily snag code examples from around the web, then access your code examples without having to think. Yeah, this looks really cool, and maybe I'll definitely try this out. Crazy Bone. Thanks for sharing that. I never knew about this. Um, but yes, but the way I kind of do that is I have user snippets saved in my Visual Studio Code, and I kind of just use that. And I also use Notion sometimes where I kind of save snippets I come across. And Notion has this really cool tool that I can install. So Notion does the work for me, and that's my mechanism. But I'll definitely check this out. Let's check this out now. Okay, open the dialog quiz.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
21 fort. Well, I don't think we are in the right log. Yeah, let's see now. Okay, so I think now that's weird because we never got this issue before, right? One or more parameter values were invalid, missing the key ID in the item. Well, I had ID. Did I need to keep it in a small letter? Let's see if that works. Let's see if that works for us. Let's come back. Let's delete the log stream. Exit the skill. Let me deploy. Yes.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Well, of course. Type mismatch for key ID expected as actual M. Well, what was that? We strengthen them. Okay, maybe we say user. You know what? Let's actually handle that right away. Right, so let's come in here. What I wanted to do was get the user ID. So let's get this user ID constant. User ID is equal to handler input dot does that work? Session dot user ID. Is that what we're trying to do? Well, user ID really, and then it's just passing the user ID here, right? So I'm just capturing the session user ID. Console. Let's just do a console.log as well to see if we can capture the user ID. Let's do console.log. Hello, user. We are going to get this working today, folks. I'm going to be streaming a bit more time today. I just want to make sure that at least we get the database saved for sure. Right, so now let's exit this, open the dialog quiz.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked. Please try again.
No. So now let's see what did we do here. right? So okay, so it looks like, okay, so I think the table has been created, so that worked so far. But I don't think the ID came in here. So when it says sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked, it looks like it did go inside the request for sure. But then here's the weird part about it. It didn't go inside the, yeah. I have a feeling that this was wrong, and I don't think this is how I get the user ID. How do I get the user's ID? Request envelope. Yeah, I think I had to do a request envelope. Dot request envelope. Dot session. I think this might have been the issue, but let's session. So I'm just grabbing this user ID. I kind of feel stupid about this because I think I just missed this request envelope here. But let's see. That's correct. So basically what I'm doing is request envelope is this dot session dot user ID. Let's see if that works. Okay, exit. Open the dialog quiz.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So that means we are inside for sure. But now, yeah, so see, we got the user ID, so that's perfectly fine. We pass the user ID here, right? And we are passing the user date dot now, right? So what does it say? What's the wrong? It says type mismatch for key ID expected S and actual M. Well, we passed S, right? Actual is M. Let's figure out what M means in DynamoDB. DynamoDB values, and see, this is why I kind of do all of these things on the go, because we get to learn all these things. So yeah, I think what's happening is the value that we are trying to send to DynamoDB is wrong. So maybe just figure out why that's not working properly, right? Expected attribute value. I don't think this is what we are looking for. Item. Is there an item here? GHI PEFGHI. There's an item response. That is, we are stuck. So working with items, put item, reading an item, writing an item. When we are writing an item, it says you have to pass the S, but it doesn't say the values that you can pass, what M stands for. Are you required to set the type of a Dynamo value, or is that just a good practice? I don't know the answer to that oxygen box, and I'm just figuring that out right now. So I think we'll figure that out. It looks like it's not a best practice, and the reason why I say that is because if I put in S here, it should have just technically taken it up. If it was a best practice, right? It could just create it. But the fact that it's saying that, hey, I cannot create this for you, you need to use the appropriate value, kind of makes me feel that maybe I need to pass in the correct value, and that's required, right? So, and again, I might be wrong here, but yes, you know what? Let's just look for attribute type in DynamoDB. So I think that's where we are going wrong. So let's go to attribute type. Yeah, so supported data types. So there's S, there's Boolean, What is M? There's no M. Why does it say M? Oh, is M for map? Okay, let's see. Is M for map? Data types. Numbers can be positive, strings can be, yeah, strings. Well, just kind of feel that M stands for map. That's really weird considering, you know what, let's actually try this. Let's try this, folks. Let's make it to M and let's see what happens when we deploy this. Let's actually go into the DynamoDB. Let's reload this. Is a number you are setting really a number? The user ID initially was in parentheses, but then I just captured the string from what we are getting in from the user, right? So right now we are getting an issue with the M part of this, and the access time has been a number for now, like it's date.now, so it's, I would think it's a number, but let's figure that out. I think that's what we need to figure out. Open the dialog quiz.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay. That's really weird. It's still saying the same thing. Type mismatch for key ID expected as actual M. Okay, it said it Okay, maybe can we just Google for this? Let's see what we get. What does Stack Overflow have to say about this? My AWS Lambda calls a DynamoDB based on this answer as username, key username expected. So I think you do get the key name here for sure. So when we get key ID, that means the ID was expected to be. The error is saying that Dynamo expected string, but it is getting something else. According to this, S is DynamoDB string, and Raymolin said M is a map. Thus, the UID sent must not be a string but a model object map. One such fix that should be. Oops, I was using the old syntax for AWS SDK v1. Well, you see, that is that. Okay. Are we using old syntax? I'd hate to think so. Put item DynamoDB AWS SDK. Yeah. Put item in the AWS SDK for JavaScript. That's what I'm going to look at. Right. So is this the new version of this? Maybe we'll figure out. So what it says is, oh, right. So I think what it's saying is you should have an ID in here. colon M. I don't see a problem with that, to be honest. Right? And I'm just thinking this might be the issue, but I don't think that's. I think you're doing something wrong here for sure. Let's just figure that out in a minute. Right? Right, so this is put item. Well, this is what we followed, right? Did we have to put in the API version as well? AWS config.update region is correct. DynamoDB. I think I don't need to use the document client version here. Let's try this. Let's create the service object. Let's copy this. Let's put it here. So this is the API version object. And I think there were a couple of them here. Right, so this looks similar, and maybe this solves the issue for us. Okay, let's try this out.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay, so I think that did solve the issue, but it says talk client dot put is not a method. Okay, I think it's what is it, put item? Yeah, it's put item. So let's just change that to put item. Is that what it is? Put item. Yeah, function error data. This looks good. Let's try this one now. Yeah, and I have a feeling this should work. If it doesn't, let's actually just delete the table. Delete the table. Delete. Right. Let's deploy this. Let's do an exit here. Open the dialog quiz.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked. Please try again.
Now that means I have a feeling. Okay. Quiz was created. It did come in here. Exit. Open the dialog quiz.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Right. So now, actually, let's just come in here once more and Okay, now it's saying, so there are two errors. The very first thing is when you delete the table and there's no table at all, you get the ask sdk.dynamodb persistence adapter error. So that means what's happening here is somehow, oh yeah, I think this is not needed anymore. Or is it? Yeah, I think we don't have the persistence attribute anymore. So we don't need this anymore, right? And I'm just going to, for the timing, let's just comment this out, okay? Um, and let's just comment this out as well, right? And let me just copy this, and you could just place this here, and we can keep it here, right? So now it comes in here. This is the attributes manager, this is the session user ID. It calls some opponent. We don't want all of these stuff. Let's just comment that out for now. I don't think we need the persistence attribute as well, because we don't have persistent attributes anymore. So just the bare basic minimums, right? Just to make sure this works, right? Let's try this now. So what we are first fixing is when we don't have the table at all, see if this error comes in, where what Alexa says is basically saying, sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked, please try again, right? So I'm just going to be going back and deleting this log string. Yes, delete, and delete. Just have a useless table here. Let's just delete this one as well. Okay, now have we deployed? Yes, we have deployed. So let's just exit here now, and once we exit, let's go to open the dialog quiz again. Well,
There was
so
a problem with the requested skills response.
so that means we fixed that error, where when there is no table, it will come in and it will create a table for you, because, well, the table just got created. So that error is not going to happen anymore, okay? And now once you open this, it says expected param.items to be a string. Okay, I'm not really sure this should be a string, but well, what, let's just give this a try and see if this is working, and let's see how it does save it finally into the database. We've deployed it. Let's come back. Let's exit it. Open the dialog quiz.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
We're still getting an error. Let's open up a 1019 log. That's is to be a string, and I did pass a string. What's up with that? If it's a number, how about this? How about we do a console.log of date not now? What does that return? Well, I don't mind just just going to do a date.now, and let's see what is the type that we are getting. Type of date, and console.log date as well. Let's delete the log stream. Okay, let's try this out. Open the dialog quiz.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
What is the log going to send back to us? Well, it's a number, right? It's a straightforward number, which is 158835189, which is the epoch time. Now, DynamoDB says to us that, hey, you can't pass access item. And did we get the values properly? So it's user, access time, that's correct. This is access time, this is access time, right? So this is correct, but it says expected param.items.s to be a string. Well, yes, I'm just changing that back to number, right? And let's just deploy this again, just to make sure I'm not going crazy about this. And if it's not something that I'm doing wrong, I just want to cover my bases while doing this. And the dialog quiz, the items, well, we'll figure that out, won't we? Okay, now that we are here,
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
you know what, let me just exit, open the dialog quiz again.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Let's just wait. Let's search for this, right? Let's search for this. What if you try hard-coded values? We can try that out. Hey, look at this. This guy is doing the same thing that we are trying to do. Or more or less. Okay, so when you created the DynamoDB table, the data type of the ID you provided was string and not number. Okay. Try to translate it into a string. Oh, even when you want to save the value as a number in DynamoDB, you still need to send a string to the SDK. Oh, somehow I think I had this in mind, or let's just see if that is to string, right? In fact, why even do that here? Let's do that here. Date dot now dot to string, right? I think I somehow have a feeling that I've encountered this error somewhere before, um, but we'll figure that out. Let's try that. There we go, folks. That worked.
Welcome to the ultimate dialogue quiz. In this game, I will play an audio clip of a dialogue from a movie, and you have to guess the actor and the movie. In each game, I will pitch you against an opponent and give you 5 questions.
Let's mute the site. There we go. So I think that was the issue. So I think even if you're passing a value, as in you might still be passing like an n value here, but it still expects that to be in a string format, right? So I think that's what DynamoDB is about. And so there are a couple of things that I'm kind of overlooking at this point. But if you actually look at this, yeah, so I'm at this DynamoDB skill templates, and I had done this a long time back, so this just slipped my head. But you kind of had to do the key schema definitions and all those things, and you had to do this by default. So I didn't do that by default per se. I had to create a DynamoDB table with the name DynamoDB starter. So I somehow have a feeling that maybe there's a better way to do this than actually doing that, but I'll figure out the best practice, right? I'll not worry about that at this point. Let's remove the console.log at this point, okay? We don't need that, so we don't need all of these stuff. Let's remove this, right? So this is how we've managed for a certain user ID and getting the access time, right? So we just save all of those in here. Now there are a couple of things that I need to do is get the persistent attribute and figure out what the current user is going to be doing. So let's just see if the persistent attributes still works for us. So let's just remove all of these items here. Right, constant persistent attributes is equal to attributes manager dot persistent attributes was that right. And console.log, let's just see what happens in here. Console.log persistent attributes, right? Ask deploy -d lambda. Let's just see what's happening when I exit it. Let's see. Open the dialog quiz. This is going to work perfectly fine. Let's look at the log. What does the log say? The persistent attributes is a promise that they're getting. So let's say if I were to write persistent attributes dot last rather dot access time, does that work? Is that, or rather, let's just copy the key. Persistent attributes dot access time, does this work more specifically? Because if it does, I have a feeling it is not going to work, because the way it saves both of those keys is very different. So I have a feeling that it's not going to work. But let's figure that out for ourselves. Exit. Open the dialog quiz. Well, that worked, or I think so. We can't be sure until we see the log. Let's peek into the log to see what's happening here. These logs usually take a bit of time to come in here. Well, this is undefined, right? See, so I think it's not going to send it back like this, right? And I'll tell you the reason why. Okay, so the reason is because when you save it through the persistent attributes, it saves in a different format. It basically saves in a format called as attributes. Like this access time is not there. There's a map value here, and the map value is attributes, and it just saves all of that inside that map value. So we can't use the persistence adapter anymore. We can't use the persistent attributes anymore because it's not going to give us the correct value, right? So now that brings us to another problem, is we've now added the user properly. So that's perfectly working. How do we determine if this is a return user or not, right? So I think that's where what we need to do is kind of write another program here where we'll say db helper dot prototype dot get user is equal to pass the user and then return a new promise, resolve it, and reject it, and just launch this like this. Yeah, now once we do that, let's just make sure we're deleting this, and now I think there should be getting an item, right? So we're trying to get an item here. So how do we get it, right? So let's actually have the table name here. Table name is equal to the dialog quiz, right? And let's just change this table name. There we go. And now I think you need to have like a param like this, right? So params, well, I'm just going to take this and say this table is, and we are trying to get the user, right, to just see if this user exists or not. The key name N001, right? To access DynamoDB, create an AWS DynamoDB service object. To identify the item to get, you must provide the value of the primary key for that item in that table. By default, right? So yeah, so I think what we need to do here is say ID and then pass in the user and keep this as string, right? I think that's how kind of figure this out. Okay, and then finally we do a ddb.getItem. So we do a doc client dot get item params err data and did we just have to call get item? Yes. If err else so right, so if error else resolve with data, if error return reject error. Hey Akshay 1994 as is now following. Welcome to the stream, Akshay. Oh well, folks, a lot of people have suddenly seemed to have joined in. But hey, thanks for joining, Akshay. Feel free to say hi in the chat. I'm building a skill here which calls DynamoDB database, and it's a cool skill, Alexa skill that tests your knowledge of Dynamo, of movie dialogues. Right? I've said that so many times. I keep forgetting what I'm doing here, but yes, that's what I'm doing here. And right now, I'm calling the database to check. I'm calling my DynamoDB database to check if the value has been properly saved there or not. Anyway, so I think this is the method that's going to do that. And let's see if I can. And now this is not the right way to do it again. I know that I should not be making two DynamoDB calls in the same method. So I'll kind of wrap all of this together and put it in an interceptor like Rajat asked, and that might be for some other time. But for now, I'm just doing it hands-on, right? For the time being, I'm not worrying about it. So return db helper dot get user, and then pass in the user ID, right? The user ID dot then data, and then open it up, right? So this looks somewhat correct, and then let's just catch that error. All of a sudden, I think a lot of people have joined in the chat. Not sure where they are from, but feel free to say hi, folks. Catch error, and this it. Well, now, right. So user is equal to, yeah, I did not have to return this here. I could have just called this function. I don't need to return the db helper, but let's see. So now let's see what happens here. So console.log user, console.log data, right? And console.log user error, console.log error. Okay, so that sounds okay to me for the time being. But yeah, this is very raw code at this point, folks. Don't worry a lot about if this is the right way to do it, but we will eventually get there. Let's see what happens when we deploy it. So basically, I've created two commands in my two methods in my database.js. One is get user, that when you give a user ID, passes it and gets the user ID's entire value. And one is add user, which just saves it. So now at this point we've already added this user. This user that we are currently working with is already here. Let's see if we are able to get it back or not. Exit, open the dialog quiz. I somehow feel there's going to be an error. Well, what did I say? I can predict errors, folks. I can predict errors. Let's go inside 840. Well, what did that do? Well, the persistence attribute was undefined, which is understandable. We are not even looking at it at this point, so let's just delete it. Out here, dbhelper.getUser, we had the user, but the item was null. Why is it null? So the get user, we need to pass the user ID. We pass the user ID. We said that, hey, you know what? The ID is S. I want to search for this ID. Well, what seems to be the issue? Why didn't we get that? Create a DynamoDB, identify the item to get. This is getting an item here, right? I'm not trying to delete an item for sure. Is there anything else? There's a write item, there's a put item, get item, delete item. Nope, this is not what we want. Well, let's do a thing, okay? I just wanted to try something, okay? So what I'm going to do here is, I think we are getting the error though, right? So if you actually look at this database, this log, we do get an item back, right? So that means we are in here, okay? So I just want to make sure that the user ID that we are passing is the same as the user ID that we get from the system. So console.log, before resolving, let's just see if the value that was sent was correct or not. Console.log user, that's what we are passing. In fact, you know what, let's just send in the params as well. Console.log params. Okay, so it doesn't hurt for us to just test if we are passing the right value in there. So I kind of feel that that's what's wrong. And the thing with these things is, no matter how many times you do, you just have to come back to the documentation to always figure this out. Let's exit. Okay. Do we have it in the database store? Yes, we do. Let's see. Right, so this is the table name and S is, yeah, this is correct, right? See, look at this. Is my user ID, what did I do? Open the dialog quiz. So is my user ID ending with JQ? Yes, it is. It is in fact ending with JQ. right? So I'm passing in the right value, and it is amazon1.ask.account, right? But why is it sending me an empty response? So before resolving, this looks, where's the saved data coming in from? Oh, you know what? Let's do one thing. Let's just comment out this for the time being. Maybe it's trying to write something to the database, and maybe that's what's hampering with it. So for the time being, let's just assume it's trying to read from the database. And we are going to get an error for here for sure, okay? But we are going to look into the logs. And I believe that's why encountering these errors is really good, because you just get to know something new about this. Okay, let's try this out. Let's exit, open the dialog quiz. There was a problem. Well, pretty much. That's weird, right? See, when you create a table, reading and writing a single DynamoDB table. So how to add an item? I think we've added the item. The sample code can be found here. Let's check out the sample code and see if we are doing something wrong here. This looks to be get item seems to be correct. What am I doing wrong? If folks who are viewing this, you have any idea on what I might be doing wrong, feel free to jump in and let me know. I would really like to hear from you on what I might be doing wrong with this. I'm passing in the table name, which is correct. I want the ID, which is correct. The key name is ID. What is this projection expression? So to read data from a table, you use operations such as getItem, query, or scan. Amazon DynamoDB returns all the item attributes by default. To get only items, some rather than all of the attributes, use a projection expression, a single top level attribute. So do I need to pass in something in here? Okay. Oh, you know what? I think I needed to put in here access time, right? I have a feeling that's what I was missing here. I needed to also send what key attributes I needed. So I needed the access time. If I needed any more, I could ask for that as well. Let's see if this works. I have a feeling that this might work. Let's see. So Yeah, that's deployed. Let's delete. Let's just come back, delete the streams. I know this is a very, I don't think it's an habit many people have, but I always delete my log streams. I like to keep my logs clean. Let's see if this works. Okay. Let's hope we've got the user's access time. Because if we did, hey, there we go. That worked. Perfect. So I think that was something that I missed. So this projection expression that you see here, this is where you kind of say that, hey, so this user, they have 3 or 4 more columns. Like they might have access time, they might have the last game that they played. All of that might be in different columns. You can just define here in projection expression which of them you want. And that's what we kind of learned about in today's session, right? So if I wanted some more, I could just pass all those values here. And that's something that I literally just learned on this stream. And that's why these kind of streams are really helpful for me, because both of us, or folks who are on the stream, all of us just learn together with this. So I think that's pretty cool. So now it's almost close to wrapping up today's stream. So I've been on for now almost an hour or so, almost 2 hours now. So let's just quickly wrap this up. So let's just summarize what we have done with the skills so far. So what we have done is today we changed this from a custom model to a standard model. So that means we are no more using a persistence adapter. And the reason why we are not using a persistence adapter is because the persistence adapter only returns rows for that specific user, whereas we might want for our game to be getting values from different users, right? So that was one of the reasons why we did this. And then we just said, hey, table name, auto create table, pass it, and then it created it. Now while doing this, what we also did was today we created majority of this database.js file, and all of this you just did a require AWS SDK, config update, the table name, DB helper, and doc client. Then we defined 2 functions. One is get user, where we learned about projection expression today, and we learned how to get an item from the database, right? So I can pass any user's ID here, and I can get that user's access time or whatever other columns that I want. And we also saw how to add a user, and that's by passing in the user and the access time. Now here is where we got stuck, because when we are trying to do this, the access time was sent in number, whereas the SDK expected that to be in strings. So we kind of did like a date now to string. So that's pretty much what we did. So now at this point, we can read the user from the database, we can write the user to the database, right? So that's something that we have done so far. What we are going to do next is clean this up a little bit, and like Rajat mentioned, he wanted to learn about interceptor, and this could be the topic of the next stream. What we will try and do is wrap all of this logic in an interceptor, so that we don't have to call these methods again and again from our database, right? So from all the methods. So that's what we are going to do. So I hope today was clear, and I hope you got an opportunity to learn something. I know I learned something about DynamoDB today for sure. I hope that's the same case with you. I'm almost going to wrap up the stream. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop in. I can stay around and answer for a while. But yes, thanks everyone for joining. Rajat, Crazy Bones, Startup Sanathana, Oxygen Box, and who else? Dipanshu Jain. All of you, thank you so much for joining. Akshay, thanks for joining as well. Like I said, been a really great time doing this stream today, and we did a lot of time as well. So I might look at doing this for some more time, maybe like an hour and a half from next time onwards. But yes, great stream today, folks. Thanks for joining, and see you back on Monday, which is when I will stream about what we do further to this skill. So, well, that's it for now. Stay safe, stay safe, and stay healthy. I know I have a bit of a cold from all the cleaning, but I'll make sure to stay healthy as well. But you folks, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care. And that's it. Good night.